Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about let him work. I know you're probably thinking, okay, let him work. What are you talking about? Okay, so earlier today I heard this sermon and I heard a few other like words of encouragement, like that's geared towards like messages from the Bible or whatever else. So it'll be something like it might be a theme about like Zechariah, or it might be a theme about like Daniel in the lion's den, or whatever else. And sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but it might be something like that. And today the story was about, sorry, it's storming. And like if you grew up old school in like the country like me, it was like when it was thunderstorming, you were supposed to have all electronics off. Everything was supposed to be shut down. You're supposed to be sitting in a room somewhere reading or playing a board game or playing cards, something like that. And you're just playing solitaire or something else. And so so I'm like really like part of me is like, okay, I'm doing this. And then another part is like I feel like that kid that's like, shut everything, all the electronics, turn the TV off, go sit in the room. And like everybody sitting, the whole family sitting together, and y'all just, playing board games, or, playing cards, or making up some kind of game, or reading a book or something. I like reading. So my thing was reading or playing a game or something like that. But nothing electronic could be on at this time while it was storming. So I literally, it's funny because I was with the person I was with a while ago, and it started storming. I was like, shut all the electronics. We need to turn all the electronics off. I know it sounds so silly, but seriously, I was like, we need to shut all the electronics off. Whenever it's storming, this is when, God's doing his work or whatever. And so you can't do nothing. And he looked at me so crazy, like, what? You gotta what? I was like, yeah, like, didn't you, when you grew up, didn't they tell you, And he was like, no, we never had to do that. I was like, oh my gosh. And even now, like when it storms, I'm still like, do I want to be on a computer? And so, yeah, but that's just like a little funny backstory. And so while the Lord is working in the background, I'm going to be obedient on this platform. And so if God wants, this to stop, then I will stop and walk away, and I will go sit in the living room and read a book. And so it's funny because in my life, since I've been in this waiting season, since I've been doing things in my life and I've been obedient, and I finally heard God's voice yesterday, which was such a blessing. I'm so grateful. Like, some people try to make it seem like it's so normal just hearing from God all the time, but not everybody gets to do that. It's like usually based on your relationship with God, you grow a relationship with God. Every person can do it. It's not just like a me thing, or you got to hear from somebody else. You grow your own personal relationship with God so that you'll be able to discern when he's telling you to do something or not, so that you can be obedient, so that you can be doing the things that God wants you to do in your life. Like, you don't have to come to me. You don't have to come to somebody else. You can literally read the Bible, go to God, pray, build that relationship, tell him about your troubles, tell him about the things that you're happy for, the things that you want, the things you don't want, the things you don't like, cry, stomp, scream, do whatever it is that you got to do so that God knows that you feel comfortable talking to him. And God doesn't expect you to be perfect. He just wants you to come to him. He wants to know that you trust in him. He wants to know that you are willing to turn to him in a moment of weakness, in a moment where you feel scared or whatever else. And if you are in a hard situation, God will provide a way out. If you're being tested by your flesh, if you're being tested verbally, any other way, God will make sure that there's always a way for you to escape whatever situation you're in if you're in his presence. And so just make sure that you get close to him, because you never know when the situation's gonna call for him. I mean, my whole life calls for God, like, but sometimes I do get beside myself, or sometimes I do like get in my own way, and God will say, you can have these things, and I'll be like, God, I don't know if you really want me to have this. And God's like, didn't I tell you this was for you? And I'm just like, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. And I'm the type of person who sometimes I'll second guess stuff. So, or overthink. I don't want to say second guess, because I don't second guess God. I just get in my own head and start overthinking a bunch of stuff. And God's like, that was like 2 weeks ago. Like, now you're trying to say that you understand what I'm saying. I didn't say it so that you can understand it. I said it so you could do it, you know? And really, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be that I need to understand because, you know, faith is the hope of things unseen. I don't need an example of what God's going to do in my life or what he's going to do in some kind of situation in my life. I just need to be obedient and trust in him because he's going to work it out. I'm not, you know, I'm not God. I can never be God. I can never do what God does. God is perfect in every way. I am a flawed individual who just wants to be obedient and serving and intentional in my life. That's it. So any way that God wants to use me as a vessel, I hope that, and I pray that he just continues to use me to guide my footsteps so that I can be on the right path. So I don't be out somewhere that I'm not supposed to be doing something that I want to selfishly do or something that I think I want to do because of whatever, me, you know. I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing is because God wants me there, you know. And so I was listening to this person's testimony, and they so they do like little snips, and it'll be someone reading from the Bible. I'll turn to the Bible page. They'll go through the story. The story was about Zachariah and his wife Elizabeth and how they could never have children. And so they in the like the just in the nick of time at the 11th hour, you know how God works. In the 11th hour at the appointed time, God just stepped in and blessed her with a child. And she was old and everything else, you know. And when I say old, I say biblically old because a lot of people in there were older people, you know, like Noah. And so that was a blessing that they never saw coming. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't like they were expecting it. They just kind of they were hopeful, but they never expected it to happen at that time. They didn't know when it was going to happen. They were praying about it. They were hopeful and everything else. And it reminded me of my life. It reminded me of me being in the waiting season. It reminded me of me being on pause with God and not really doing any of the things that I needed to do. Not really, you know, all of the things that I thought were going to happen one way didn't happen that way at all. All the things that I thought I was going to have, I got none of those things, you know, and I didn't fast or do Lent because I wanted God to give me something. I did it because I wanted to prove to God that he was enough, you know, because when I listened to that one thing, it was like a bunch of women who were like women of the church or whatever, and they were all talking about different scenarios in their life. Like one person was an author, but she wrote like Christian, you know, stories. Another person was a pastor's wife, or two of them were pastors' wives. One of them was like I can't remember what it was. She was like a preacher or something, and it was like a bunch of different people who had different like tasks within the church or whatever, you know, or different titles in church. I don't know if you could say a title in church, but you know what I mean. And they were doing something to serve in the house of God, you know. And so they were on there ever since that one lady who was single said that she really had a moment where she had to ask herself, is God enough? Or God had asked her, is he enough? And she was honest because God already knew the truth. And she said, you know, God, I really wish you were enough right now. I want you to be enough, but you're not. And so God had her go on this journey for a year and a half where she had to really mourn her dad not walking her down the aisle, her not having children, her not meeting the person, and just be single. And when she got to the point where she finally felt content and, you know, the things that she had expected in her mind, the things that she had desired in her life, when she let it go, that's when God introduced the guy who is now her husband to her. And it wasn't that she was looking for him or anything like that. He really just came out of nowhere. They went on one date. Like she said that she still dated during this time, but she wasn't like seeking anything. She just went on dates here and there, and it wasn't like she was expecting anything to happen. She just kind of went on a date. And she went on a date with this guy. The very first time, first date, she knew God had said yes to this man. And when God said yes to this man, the second date, she didn't say anything to the guy. She just was like, she knew that it was a yes because God had said no so many other times. And so they go on a second date, and he ends up flying to go meet her dad. And he meets her dad, and he says his intention is to marry her. And even though both of them knew within the first and second date, they waited a year before they got married. And now it's been, I think, I don't know how long they've been together. I don't want to like unintentionally lie, but I know it was over 5 years. And so they had waited a year, they had gotten married, and then they, now they're married for however long it's been. And so ever since she asked that question, is God enough? I really have been doing a lot of reflection and asking myself, is God enough in the season? Like without the job, without the car, without the hair, without the clothes, without the, my no blemishes on my skin, without my nails being done, without, because now my nails look a mess. Like I've never had a rough season like this with my nails since I was in a relationship the last time. Like my nails was struggling in that relationship. But I love doing my nails, and I didn't not like design my nails and stuff like that, but it was a real struggle for real. And like I would hate to revert back to that, but I plan on doing my nails today, but it's storming. And I'm not gonna put my hands in something electric while it's storming. I don't feel comfortable doing that, you know? And so I'm not gonna do that today. I might wake up early tomorrow morning since it's not gonna storm, and I might paint my nails. I think I'm gonna do pink this time, just because I feel like in a pretty and pink mode. But then again, I have swim class on Saturday, so today is Thursday. So if I paint my nails Friday, when I swim, they're gonna all chip because I'm gonna be grabbing one to like I'm gonna be swimming. I'm gonna grab when I do a backstroke or whatever. I'm gonna grab onto the wall. It's gonna chip my nails when I go forward. When I go down to the bottom of the pool and I touch the bottom of the pool, it's going to chip my nails as well. So all of the things that I'm doing, and then the chlorine underneath is going to lift up the gel and it's going to make it eventually chip or peel off in certain places. So I might as well wait until Saturday, like just take all the polish off, just have my nails like not have any polish on it. And then after I come back from swimming, which I really wanted to do my nails because I'm doing a me date on Saturday. Like this will be my first me date in a long time, in 6 months. And I'm so excited because it'll just be nice just to be by myself, just to kind of do what I want, just to relax, just to be in that moment, just to be myself, and not really worry about somebody else being there or, just enjoy that time by myself on Saturday. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. You don't understand. Like, how, so, like, this is how, like, some of the people who go on dates are. And I kind of get it with my me dates. Like, I haven't, I don't want to say I haven't gotten excited for a date, but I like, when I see people, like, other women and they end up going on dates and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, I gotta do this with my hair and I'm gonna wear this outfit, and they like get all excited and they like can't wait to go on the date because they really seem interested in this guy and he seems interested in her. Like that's how I feel on my me date. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to do my hair and I can't wait to, I don't know if I'm gonna wear makeup or not, like do my eyes because I'm gonna be in a pool. I mean, I could always wear it and then take it off before I get in the pool because I don't want my eyes to be stinging because I'm trying to be cute. Like I'm not trying to be that cute. I'm just trying to accentuate my features and then have fun. That's it. I'm not trying to go blind. No pun intended. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was offensive, and hopefully I can just, edit that out. But I didn't mean it with any ill intent. I just mean like my vision would be super blurry and I'm not gonna be able to see anything because of chlorine and all the other stuff. That's it. I didn't mean it to be offensive in any way. And so I definitely need to take mascara off before I get in the pool, especially if it's not waterproof. And even if it is waterproof, chlorine will really like get the stuff off. Like it's not that type of waterproof. It's more like it'll be on there, but your eyes will be stinging because some of it will drip in your eye, kind of waterproof. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to wear, one of the dresses that I haven't been able to wear, and it's not gonna be warm like it's been all week. It's gonna be a little chilly-ish. So it's gonna be like in the 50s probably. So I'm probably gonna have to probably not gonna be able to wear one of my dresses that I wanted to wear. I might still be able to wear it. I might just go with it and wear over the knee boots with it or something. I might just do it, and then just wear like a jacket, like some kind of jean, probably not a jean jacket. I'm gonna wear one of my jackets with it. But I'm about to do it. Like, it's about to be a thing. Ooh, I just remembered the dress that I haven't worn yet. I have this green, I know this is like so extra right now, but I have this green dress and it's a long maxi dress. And for guys that watch this channel, you don't know what that is. You might have to Google it or don't Google it. Just envision a long green dress. That's it. You don't have to envision it. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's a long green dress and I got it when I went somewhere with my family. And so the dress is kind of like, it's kind of cut like this. It's got a thing around the neck. So the collar kind of goes like this. And then the sleeves are like this. It's like sleeveless, but the straps are big. And then the cut is kind of exactly like this cut. And then it goes all the way down to the ground. And it's got like a little small split on the ground on the bottom, but it goes to the ground. So the split is like this. So it's like one of those dresses. So what I was going to do is I was going to wear some booties and then I was going to wear either, I want to wear, if could find my black jean jacket, that would be that would be the thing. And then I would just wear my green purse, my green crossbody. And I would do gold jewelry. I probably do like my gold watch. And I probably do like 3 or 4 layers of necklaces. I do my gold earrings or my dangle earrings. That would be cute too. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hair up in a high bun, but it's going to be like a sophisticated bun. It's going to be like a ninja knot, but not the real tall ones. It's going to be the ones that's like this. And then I'm going to do like some pieces down like here and then here. And then maybe a few pieces down in the back. And the rest of it is going to be swooped. And I'm going to do like the edges on point, and everything. And I'm going to do that with the earrings, it's going to be a whole thing. It's going to look good. And I'm going to go to my favorite restaurant and I'm going to, because Saturday, today is supposed to be the end of my Daniel fast. And so today I ate something I didn't realize had cheese in it. So I know most people will be like, well, you didn't know. So technically it doesn't count. Listen, I don't play that kind of game, especially when I'm doing something for God. So tomorrow I'm not going to eat some of the foods that I could eat, tomorrow on Good Friday. So tomorrow is going to be a Good Friday and I'm still going to be disciplined. And then Saturday, I'm going to go to my favorite restaurant and have the things that I like to have. But I'm not going to overindulge. I'm just going to have a few things. Like, I'm going to get my favorite drink. And I'm going to and when I say drink, it doesn't necessarily mean that has something in it. It just means it could be like some kind of fruity, peach raspberry tea or something, like whatever. Like just envision whatever your favorite drink is. That's what I'm drinking. And then I get these stuffed mushrooms. And I mean, I haven't went any place that makes them as good as my favorite restaurant. Oh my gosh, it's good. It's so good. And then they have these like little baguettes French baguettes that are like sliced that go around the bowl. And oh my gosh, so good. So good. I could already taste the flavors. You don't even understand. And so I'm just so looking forward to it. It's gonna be so nice. I think I'm gonna like scroll around and just like maybe walk the mall. I don't think I'm gonna get anything. I probably will just walk just to kind of look to see what they have. I don't know if I really want to do that because it's not really like I don't mind going into the mall, but I really like going like downtown and just walking around, just like seeing different sights, going to the park, sitting outside, which I can't do tomorrow because it's gonna be 50 some degrees. I mean on Saturday because it's gonna be 50 some degrees, and I'm not trying to be cold outside. I just wanna, I want to have a good time. And so if I don't do that, I will do that. I will do something else. And if my budget prohibits, because I'm really trying to budget strictly, I'm probably going to get a massage on Saturday. But the only thing is, every time I get a massage, I get a print on my forehead like this from me putting my face on the seat. And so I'm like, I got to find a way to... Sorry, that was like not a cute face. The facial expression I just made though, like really? Sorry. So many people are laughing at me right now. But listen, okay, so we're just gonna pretend like I didn't just sneeze. But yes, the print, I just got to make sure I find a way not to get the print on my forehead because I don't I don't want to be walking around looking like I got a big line right here because I don't know how to like I don't know any remedies. I don't know any like cool hacks to not get that print. I'm probably gonna have to look it up on, YouTube University or something. And so, yeah. So it's gonna be a whole vibe. Like I'm trying to just be in my zone, doing my thing, just relaxing, just focusing on having a day where I just focus on myself. Like, you don't know how good it feels to like put that type of energy into yourself. Like, I'm not putting the energy in worrying about what somebody else is doing. I'm not putting the energy into like any other person in my life. I'm just focused solely on myself. And some people could say it's selfish, call it what you want. Like this is what I want to do. I haven't done it in 6 months. I'm really looking forward to it. And this is something that I really want to do, but I probably won't do it this Saturday. I'll probably do it another time. I want to test out like a NASCAR or like a one of those other cars, like the what's another car that they have like with a really cool engine? I don't know. I don't know the names of any of these cars. I just know I like it. And so don't get on me. Don't come for me. Like I just know what I like. That's it. And so I want to like test drive one of those and I want to do like some donuts, maybe learn how to drift. I don't know, but I know that sounds weird, but like I would never use it anywhere, but I would use it at that one place. And so it would be cool. And so I want to do something like that. Just like test drive it, drive around, just like, I don't know, like I grew up, my granddad he used to race, motorcycles at the drag strip or whatever. We have like this track down my way. And so he would always take his bike out and he would just be racing and you could hear like the engine revving up. You can hear like the motorcycles. You can hear like the cars when they're like pulling out and it's like leaving the line because they're spinning out or whatever else. You can see the smoke coming from the vehicle. You can hear like the noises in the crowd and everything. And I don't know, it's just something so cool about that. And so, like, when I think about test driving this car, that's what I think about. I think about growing up, being at the track, and then seeing, my granddad just race down the track or whatever. And so, so it's something, it does something to me right here, It's like, feel it in my soul. And so, one day I'm doing that. I'm definitely doing that. And I want it to be a me thing because it's something I really enjoy. But if God's like, okay, I'm placing this person in your life right now, so you'll have to share it with someone else, then I understand. I do. I'm not saying it in a disappointed way. I'm saying I really understand. It's fine. Like it'll be okay. Everything will be fine. And so I just can't wait to just do a donut. You got the lines from the circle. You got this circle with the lines going all the way around because I'm just doing donuts in the empty lot or whatever with these cars or on in an isolated area on the track. And so so I'm there and you can smell like you can just smell all the stuff coming off the car, and you can see the smoke and tires burnt out. Like I wouldn't do that to my own tires, but I would do it at this place because they people pay for this, But but yeah, something about that would just woof. And then feeling the engine, like feeling the car just do this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to do that. Like I don't know why I'm smiling that hard, but it's just so exciting, Just doing things like that. It's like what I try to tell people like that I like mentor or like coach or whatever else, like I always try to tell them do something that you really love doing or something that really makes you happy. And then some people will say, I don't know what makes me happy. And I try to tell them what's something that you did when you were a kid that really made you smile. And they might say something like skating or swimming or going to the beach or, it's always something that's so simple, but we try to do so much extra stuff like that's going to make us happy when it's the simple things that really feed your soul, like you reading the Bible or spending time with God can really bless your entire life. But you're out seeking all of this money that will never make you happy. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with making money. I'm just saying don't expect it to make you happy. You might be able to do more things and that might make you happy. But I mean, if you have money by yourself alone, you don't have a good support system and people are just using you, the money is useless. It's worthless. But when you have value in your life, when you're happy, when you can make yourself happy, when you have real joy, unspeakable, when you have God in your life and money's an added bonus, woof, mm, I would start running and jumping and clapping, but I don't do all of that. Like, I know you probably think I do because I'm really in the Bible, but I mean into the Bible, but I don't do all of that. Like, the most I do is this, to surrender myself to God. And when I'm in the house, I'll be like, thank you, God, and I'll say stuff like that. When I'm in church, I'm that person who's like, I don't mind raising my hands and I don't mind saying thank you, God, and amen. I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, I don't think anything's wrong with other people doing it. That's just what I do. Like, and when I'm at home, I might, like, be like, yes, I might be real, like, into it. In church, I might be into it, but I'm not just like screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't, and I haven't reached the level where I speak in tongues or anything like that. I just pay attention to God, stay focused on Him, try to be obedient, serve, be intentional. Like, I do stuff like that. That's what my version of me being faithful to God is, or being obedient, or doing the things that I think is pleasing to God. I just try to do the best that I can and be a better version of myself every day. That's it. And so I don't know if one day I'm going to be the person that does that. That's why I'm not judging. But but I'm just saying, like, I haven't reached that point in my life where I do those type of things. And so I just I just really am looking forward to doing some me date stuff. And it's funny because God gave me this dream last night and He put this thing on my heart, and I really don't want to share it because I feel like it was just for me, but I think I could share other parts. And so I was really, while I've been in this pause wait season, I really, and doing my fast, I've really been like, God, I just want you to be enough. Like, that's what I want. I want to show you that you're enough. And while I've been in this season, I really have been going through a lot of different things. Like, I lost a job, some other stuff happened in my life. And I just felt like, okay, God, I want to prove that you're enough, but does everything need to be taken away for me to prove that? And then in a way, I can kind of see why everything would need to be taken away, because how would God know I was faithful without it? Like Job was tested. And then also, if God is enough, why do any of those other things matter? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel sad or disappointed or angry or anything else, but you have to know that God is everything, and that none of those things will make you as whole as God will. Nothing, like, no person, place, or thing could ever fill the place of God. And I definitely, absolutely know that. But during this fast, God took it to a whole nother level. Like, and I didn't really lose anything because I gained my peace back. I gained this kind of contentment in my life that I wouldn't have felt elsewise. Like, if God would have given me a person, place, or thing during this fast, I would have felt like, oh yeah, I would have talked a good game, but in reality, I wouldn't have been about that life. I wouldn't have been about that God life. It would have been easy to say it while I was in a job with a person, all the other things. But what's a real true testament of faith is being able to stay focused on God when you don't have any of those things, you know? And so I really feel like I really thank God for allowing me to not have those things in my life, because it really showed me what was really important. It showed me that God is God all by Himself without any other additive that I needed in my life. That no matter what's going on in my life, God will always be there for me. Like, even when I'm weak, even when I'm angry, even when I'm sad, no matter what's happening in my life, God will always be there with open arms. He will give me strength when I'm weak, when I feel like I can't go on. He will always bring people into my life necessary to help take me into the next season. He is not going to make me go through anything by myself. He always makes sure that you have everything that you need. And it might not look like somebody else's testimony or somebody else's story. Sometimes it looks like you're in a waiting season. And while you're waiting, he's making you more prepared than somebody else who just jumped right into something. While you're in your waiting season, he's breaking things off of you that you didn't know you were still holding on to. While you're in your waiting season, he's showing you some things that you're still struggling with that you thought you were over. While you are in your waiting season, he's showing you that you can trust him. While you're in your waiting season, he's showing you what real faith looks like, even when you don't have that thing yet. And when you're in your waiting season, God is really showing you as a true testament of faith. And you don't know who you are going to be a witness for. You don't know whose story you are inspiring. Like, while I was going through all of those things, and sometimes I had moments and everything, I really hope that people got some kind of inspiration from it or help them in some kind of way to not feel alone. And they know that no matter what's happening in their life, they can always run to God. They can always call on him, and you don't have to go through it alone. I hope that people who watch the videos in the past 40 days or however long, I don't know if I did 40 videos, but for Lent, but I really just hope that they understand that no person, place, or thing could ever replace God. I hope that they understand that, I'm a real person just like they are. And I fall just like everybody else. But just because I fall doesn't mean I can't get back up. Just because I fall doesn't mean that God won't reach out his hand to lift me back up. Just because I'm not perfect doesn't mean that God can't use my story as a testimony for somebody else. Just because I don't do everything right all the time doesn't mean that I can't learn from it and grow and become a better person. There's nothing that my God can't do. And although, I wasn't always happy every video, or I didn't always seem like, oh yeah, I'm not worried about it. I really feel like I displayed the real emotions that I was feeling at that time. I was feeling disappointed. I was feeling sad. I was feeling angry. I didn't feel happy every day. And that's how real life happens. It's not just like rainbows and butterflies. It's real stuff every day, real stuff. Like, some days, you on it. Some days you're not. Some days, you have a moment. Some days you don't. That's just life. It's not that you're doing something wrong because you're going through something. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes it's the adversary. Sometimes it's a test. You just have to make sure that no matter which one of those things you're going through, you stay faithful to God. That you don't allow the enemy to come and try to steal, kill, and destroy anything that you have going on in your life. You have to make sure that even when it looks like you don't see how, God's going to work it out. He is going to work it out. Even when it looks like, okay, I lost all these things, this has been taken away, that's been taken away. I don't have all of these things in my life. Even when those things are not a part of your life, you have to be able to say, I know a God. I know a God who can do exceedingly and abundantly above anything that I could have asked, think, or imagine. I know a God who comes in right at the 11th hour. Even when it looks like there's no way I'm going to be with this person. Even when and I'm not saying a specific person, I'm saying in general, for like any person that's in these situations. And you could think, I don't know how I'm going to find another job. You could be thinking, I don't know how I'm going to ever get this thing, or how I'm ever going to reach this goal, or whatever it is that you feel like is impossible. With God, all things are possible. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I don't think that sometimes we say these cute little cliches and quotes, and we'll quote Bible scriptures and things like that, but do you actually believe it? Do you really hear the words that you're saying? Because the power of the tongue is so powerful. You're saying, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You don't even have no feeling in it. Like, say it with your chest. Like, I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Like, you don't have to be like, I can do all things through Christ who, like, is it a question, or you really believe it? Like, because you got to feel it in your soul. You know who God is. Do you know that he woke you up this morning? He started you on your way, that this is the day that the Lord has made. You will rejoice and be glad in it. Do you know that he's your bridge over troubled water? Do you know that he knows every hair on your head? Every hair on your head is counted. Do you know that you're more than a conqueror? Do you know that even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you're walking through it because God will see you through it, because you're going to make it through on the other side. You will fear no evil, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. His rod and his staff strengthens you. His rod is his discipline, because, we're not perfect, and God can't just give you things even when you don't deserve it, even though we don't deserve anything. But even when you're being disobedient, God wants to make sure that you understand that he even has standards, healthy standards and boundaries. And his staff is his direction. He's directing you on the path that you should go, because he wants to make sure that you are going exactly where you need to be. You're headed in the direction that you need to be headed, not going off somewhere else with some guy that you should have never been with in the first place, and some job that you should have never took because of the money, with something that was never yours to have. Obedience and discipline is one of the hardest things that you could do when you're trying to be Christ-like, because the world will tell you, take what you want. It's a dog eat dog world, whatever other cliches out, YOLO, whatever other cliches is out there. And you might only have one life, but that doesn't mean that you have to make bad decisions in your life. That means that you should still do the best that you can, that you should still live your life to the fullest, but you don't have to do it by breaking hearts, or, just making a bunch of bad decisions. You could do it the best way you know how, and still enjoy your life, because God wants you to be happy. God never intended for you to just be in a room somewhere with a Bible and never live life. That's not what he desires for you. He desires for you to enjoy your life. And while you're enjoying your life, make sure that you stay focused on him. It's funny because, much like Zachariah and Elizabeth, even though he was old, and it just didn't seem like they would ever have a child, right at the appointed time in the 11th hour, God came through. For everybody that's in a waiting season, that's on pause, that God has, he's working things off of you. He's breaking things off of you. He's getting that childhood trauma off of you. He's making sure that you're prepared for your future spouse, or he's making sure you're prepared for the things that he has for you. His plans are to prosper you, not to harm you. Sometimes we forget that, and we're like, oh, God's just being cruel. Oh, he just doesn't want me to have all of these things. Oh, why is he making me wait? He's just being, this is just like the worst thing ever. Why would God do this to me when he knows how badly I want these things in my life? God's not doing it because he's trying to punish you. He's doing it because he wants the best for you. Because he doesn't want to give you anything prematurely. He doesn't want you to be with your husband and you're a hot mess. And I'm sorry to say it like that. Or, for the guys, he doesn't want you to get your wife and you never dealt with anything in your past. You literally have just been acting like nothing bothers you. And you're literally on pins and needles because it's haunting you. And you've never taken a moment to go over and just get rid of all that toxic, uh, all of that stuff that's been hovering over you, that's been holding you back from your true potential, because you feel like it's all you. You feel like it's nothing that you could do about it. But you can do something about it. You can give it to God. You could talk to a therapist. Like, definitely seek therapy if you're dealing with something from the past and it's still haunting you in your future. If it's still making you feel like you don't deserve the blessings that God has for you, you definitely need to talk to a therapist. If you're feeling like, no matter what you do, you just can't seem to let go of this thing and it's affecting your whole life, you need to see a therapist. Like, don't pretend like you got to handle it on your own because you're trying to be tough. There's nothing tough about carrying that stuff around with you, because you don't want to pour that onto your child or somebody else that you really care about. If you meet the person might not even be able to receive all of the love that you have because you can't let it go. That was my problem. I still have a problem with it sometimes. Letting it go, just releasing it so that I could get the type of love that God wants me to have, so that I can be in the type of relationship that's healthy that God wants for me. And it's a process. It's not a day thing. You don't just go to therapy one day and all of a sudden you're fixed. You don't just go to God and all of a sudden you're fixed. It's things that he works through. He works out of you in seasons. He has to heal all of those pieces of you. He has to break it off and heal it. It's not like you just come to him and all of a sudden you forget everything you've been through. You remember. Oh, you remember. But God gives you the strength unlike anything you've ever imagined to keep going. You don't even understand where it's coming from, but I know it comes from God, And without God and therapy, there's no way I could be doing this video right now. I would never have believed that I could actually be on here doing this. I know it's just, for some people, they're like, you're just recording a video. Listen, but sharing my testimony, being vulnerable, even on this video, crying sometimes, it's not like my thing. I'm usually the type of person, or I was in the past, the type of person who was just more of an introvert, just like sitting by myself, didn't want to talk to anybody because I felt like my voice didn't matter. But it wasn't until God told me I do matter, because he knew every hair on my head, because he said that I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, because he said I'm the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. I'm more than a conqueror. Because he said those things, it told me who I was. And because I knew who I was, I knew whose I was. I would say it the opposite way. Because I knew whose I was, I knew who I was. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even know that my worth. I wouldn't even love myself. And if it wasn't for therapy, I couldn't get rid of all of the childhood trauma that plagued my entire life. Things that just had me, like, you think I'm standoffish or like I got this wall up now. I'm intentionally trying to give people a chance. And this is how I am. Imagine how I was when I was really broken. Like, you don't even understand. And it is a long process. It's not like I woke up one day, went to therapy, found Jesus, and all of a sudden all of the past hurt wasn't there anymore. I really had to face it head on. I had to talk to people. I had to have real difficult conversations with people who, some people I love and some people who, some really traumatic things. And I didn't, it's not you have to do it, but for me, it helped me release it. It helped me get it off of my shoulders. It helped me just heal that part that was broken. It helped me give it to God afterwards. Like, I said, God, guide me. I just want to say the things on my heart. That's it. I had to talk to, I don't know if I should share all of this, but I had to talk to the abandonment. I had to talk to everything. And I had to be forgiving. Not because the other person deserved forgiveness, but I had to forgive because that's what Jesus would do. Because for myself, for me to receive all of the blessings God wanted to give me, for me to let love in, for me to let, vulnerability in, for me to allow like myself to be vulnerable with friends and family members, I had to forgive the people that hurt me the most. And I know a lot of people say that and you're like, oh, people always say you're doing it for you. You really are, because you don't heal until you release that. Until you actually forgive the person, it's like you're forgiving them, but because you forgive them, it takes away that anger, that resentment, that any of those nasty, toxic traits that's inside of you that's feeding on that. It's festering and feeding on all of those things because you haven't released it. And once you release it, it lets all of the positivity pour into you. It's like the space that was filled by all of the bad things can now be filled with good things. Like your heart can be more pure. Your intentions can be more pure. Your relationship with God can be stronger. You meet people and it's not like you gotta have this, just I'm gonna look away or I'm gonna look down at the ground. I look people in their eyes everywhere I go now. I would never do that when I was in my relationship. I always looked at the ground and walked everywhere. I never looked up. I might have said hi or something like that, but I never did anything. I walk like this now, with my shoulders back, my head held high, because I know whose I am. It's not because, I just am beautiful or something. It's literally because I know whose I am. It's something about when God's in your life that gives you a whole nother level of confidence, because you know that nothing happens without God. You know that everything that's removed from your life is for a reason. It's not because you do or don't deserve it. It's not because someone is better than somebody else. It's literally because God, that person wasn't grace for you, or that thing wasn't grace for you. And knowing that everything that you desire, that God desires for you, you will get. kind of gives you another level of swag. It gives you another level of confidence in yourself, because even when you fail, God's not going to fail. God's strategy is perfect, you know, and sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that God is who he said he is, and he's a God that he cannot lie. If God made you a promise, he's going to keep it. He's not just going to make you be miserable or take things away from you that are yours. He's going to give you everything that he has for you. You just have to be willing to accept it. So in conclusion, oh my gosh, I've been talking that long. How does this happen? I really, oh my gosh, like really, I would really be like, I have nothing to say. And I try not to say that now because God got on me that one time. So I'll be like, I don't know what I'm going to say, is what I say now, instead of I have nothing to say. And God's like, let me use you. And I'm like, yes, Lord. And so I just go on the video and then it turns into a thing. And I don't even know it's about to turn into a thing, but okay. I mean, I hope it blessed you. I really hope that everything I said is helpful and it blessed you. And, for people that watched it during the last 40 days or whatever of Lent, that you really got some inspiration, that you knew that you weren't alone in those weak moments, or the moments where you had spiritual, psychological, and emotional warfare, and the times where you didn't get the things that you thought you were going to get because you hear all the Lent stories about people receiving all of these things, and you go through Lent and you got a bunch of things taken away from you. But I truly feel like God took those things away from me because I said I wanted to know and prove to God that he was enough. I wanted to prove to God that I didn't need anything else. And I think God removed things from my life because I said I wanted peace. And that's a lot of the things that he removed gave me peace. It allowed me to see things from his perspective and not from my perspective. He really got on me a lot about selfishness. And I know we're all selfish in some sort of way, but he constantly told me in this season, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. And I was like, okay, well, let me, make sure that I'm doing something that's beneficial for someone else. And he's like, it's not about them. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's not about you. I'm like, okay, God, what is it? And then I go to church and the pastor's like, it's about God. It's about the kingdom. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's about glorifying the kingdom. It's about benefiting the kingdom. It's about doing things that are beneficial for God's name, that I'm showing that I'm an ambassador of Christ. I'm not showing that I'm an ambassador of the world. I'm not in the ways of the world. I'm in the ways of Christ. I'm in the ways of God. That's what I want to live my life as. That's the way I want to live my life. That's how I want to be perceived. I want to, when I go places, the way that I walk wants to be Christ. I want it to be Christ, like the way that I talk, when I'm speaking with kindness and patience, when I'm being understanding, when I'm not being envious or jealous or boastful, when I'm not gossiping. I want people to see the Christ-like in me. I want them to see that I have healthy standards and boundaries, that I'm holding people accountable, because that's what Jesus would do. When he's up in the church in the synagogue and people are gambling and doing all the other things in the church house, and he's flipping over tables, it's because he had a standard. And sometimes we think that being nice means being walked all over, being a doormat, being somebody's just at somebody's beck and call. They're not God. I'm not at your beck and call. I'm at God's beck and call. If God is asking me to do something, it's because it's something that's benefiting me in my life. It's because it's for it's for the better of me. It's not because God's just trying to be bossy. He's doing it because his plans are to prosper me, not to harm me. And I think it's really important for us to remember to benefit the kingdom. If you know you're struggling with something, work on it. Let that weakness become a strength. If you're strong in something, still work on it, because you can be stronger in it. Sometimes what people will do is they'll focus on the weakness, and then the strength becomes weaker, instead of allowing both things to strengthen in your life. And so for me, I want to be better in all areas. I don't know, like, I want to be a connoisseur of everything. I want to be the jack of all trades. That's why I'm always taking like weird random classes, because if it's something I'm afraid of, if it's something that I don't know, if it's something that I'm willing to learn, that I'm excited about, I want to know it. I want to know how to swim because, I wasn't a good swimmer and I was afraid, before. But fear is not of the Bible. Fear is of the world. I'm not trying to be afraid of any man, person, place, or thing. I'm trying to be about that God life, you know? And in order for me to be about it, I'm going to have to be about it. I can't just be afraid. I can't be afraid of love. I can't be afraid of any of the blessings that God has for me. I have to be willing to just walk right into it with God. And that's what I plan to do. And I hope that you get the courage to face all of the things that are heavy on your heart, that you give it to God and you find a therapist. Because I truly believe that you need the Bible and you need a psychologist. Well, I was about to say the other one, because you will need the Bible so that God can heal those broken parts of you, and you will need a therapist so you can face those broken parts of you. Because God will make sure that you don't have to go through it alone. He will make sure that someone is there with you, walking you through it. And I know some people say it's corny or they have like all these jokes and things, but listen, you could be the healthiest person and still need a counselor, because it's not about you being broken. It's about you being mature, grown enough, and emotionally intelligent enough to know that you don't do everything alone, that there's always something that you could do better. And I truly believe that therapy and counseling really does help with that, because it's an unbiased opinion. It's not somebody in your family who's judging you or who's trying to make you feel some type of way. It's a person who's specifically trained for this. They're trained to hear you out. They're trained to listen to you, and don't just pick the first person that you find. You got to actually search around and find somebody who's like your cup of tea, the type of person who like, and I'm not saying this to like get on people or anything like that. Like, the therapist that I have is a black woman, because I'm a black woman. Nobody understands what it's like to be a black woman but another black woman. And I know some people might get on it. They might say it doesn't really matter. It I've had a different therapist as well, but there's certain things that I go through as a black woman that a woman of another nationality or race wouldn't understand. You know, like they may have similar stories, but it's not the same. You know, and so for me, that's what works for me. For you, if you are a black man, maybe get a black man therapist, just so you know it's not you're spending all this time with somebody of the opposite sex that you're attracted to. You get distracted, it turns into a thing, or maybe it doesn't turn into a thing, but then the way your mind works, you just start having dreams about the person or whatever else. Like, you want to be in therapy for healing. It's not for anything else, you know. And for women too, I don't know if white women, you know, it's the same thing, or whatever the correct term is, but if that's your race or nationality or whatever, like, just try different ones and see which one is more beneficial to you, or which one that really you feel like you're learning, you feel like you're growing, you feel like it's beneficial in your life. Don't just pick the first person because you say you want to go to therapy. Sometimes it's not a good match, and it's not because of the person, it's because you need certain things to be able to heal in this journey. So definitely, like, be intentional about it. Like, pick someone who can really help you, because it's for your growth. It's not for you to just, like, I know you might want to be like, okay, well, I want to pick them because they seem like a nice person. It's good that they're nice, but you have to know what your goals are. You have to know what you are trying to get from therapy, and you also have to make sure that this is someone who meshes well with you, because if you're trying to grow, you need to be as comfortable as you can be. You don't want to feel uncomfortable with somebody who you're divulging your life to, because this person will know the deepest secrets of your life, you know. And be honest. Like, the worst thing you could do in therapy is lie. You ain't got to lie. Like, you really don't have to lie, for real, because you're lying to yourself and you're stunning your own growth. When you pretend like everything is okay, they can't help you in the way that you need it, because they have to know what the real issue is so that they can go towards it and mend it, or they can help you build some kind of techniques, or they can help you be able to grow past it. And you're not going to be able to grow past it if you're pretending as if it's not an issue. That's how it is with God too. If I'm with God and I know I like this guy, or I know I want this thing in my life, I can't be like, oh God, it doesn't really matter. God knows the desires of my heart. I'm real with God. God, I like this guy this way because of this thing. This is what I want. You tell me if this is what I should have in my life. If you're saying no to this, I know that this isn't something that I should have. Like, and I'm real about it. I don't just pretend like, oh no, I don't see anyone, or no, or no, I don't want that thing. Like, I'm always like, God, this is what's up. And God's like, I don't want to say God saying bet, but and I don't mean it in that way. But he's like, bet, bet, bet. And I'm like, okay. And I might say something like, God, you bout it. And he'll be like, we bout it. He doesn't really say that, but in my head, that's how the conversation goes. And so you just really have to be honest with yourself. Tell God what you really want, because he knows the desires of your heart. He knows what it is that you want, what you don't want. He knows how you feel and how you don't feel. Like, I went a while with pretending like I didn't care about things in my life. And God was like, how do you really feel? And I'm like, the tears, the floodgates were open. Like, I was really crying hard. And I was like, God, I really, really do care about this a lot. And I don't want to care. Like, I want you to take it away from me. And I don't know if God just didn't take it away because he knew he could use it for the next season of my life, or if he kept it because, although God is not the type of God who's going to make you do something that you don't want to do. And if you really do like or care about somebody, he's not just going to be like, care away. Like, let me just magically take the care away, or take the power that I have and take your caring for this thing away. It's something that takes a process. You have to really go through the healing process. He just doesn't snap a finger and all of a sudden you're healed. You have to feel it. Like TG always says, you have to feel it to heal it. And it's true, because if you don't feel that emotion, if you don't really face it head on, there's no way that you can grow from it or learn from it or use it for the future. Allow God to use it for the future, because that thing that you thought was so troubling or so hard now gives me strength in my life. It allows me to see that I can make it through other things. It allows me to see that if I can make it through that, like, this other thing is nothing. If I can make it past this thing, like, this is like just a whatever in the bucket. So when you're going through your life, just know that everything that you're going through isn't it. Just like Zachariah and Elizabeth with their baby. In the 11th hour, just when they least expected it, that's how God's going to work in your life. When you least expect it, you will have the thing that you want. When you least expect it, the job is going to come through. When you least expect it, the person that you've been praying for is going to walk right into your life, or they might already be a part of your life. And I don't say that because I want people to be like worried about the people that's already in their life and go through a list of names of the men or women that they've met and just think, oh, I probably overlooked them. Let me go give all these people a chance again. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that just allow God to do what he's going to do, because he's got this. Like, you're the one that's confused. You're the one that doesn't know what's going to happen next. God knows everything. He's all knowing. He's omnipresent. He's omnipotent. So that means that he's got this. Like, just chill, relax, be yourself, do what you have to do in your life, and allow God to step in and do everything else in the meantime, and like in the background, while you're not in the rooms, while you're in the same room as him, while you're praising him, while whatever it is that you're doing, allow God to work the things out in the background and with you, so that when he sends you your blessing, you're ready. You need to prepare for it. You need to start getting prepared like you already have it. You need to start praising like you already have it. Like, yes, God, I got this. I got this job already. Yes, God, I got this promotion. Ooh, promotions are coming. Like, God, this man that you told me I'm about to get, yeah, you need to break all that stuff off of me, because I definitely don't need to bring that into the relationship. I laugh because it's true and it's funny. But seriously, just let him work. Stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to pretend like it's all about you. It's not about you. It's not about another person. It is about giving glory to the kingdom of God. It's about being in covenant. It's about everything that God blesses you with for you to bless somebody else. It's not about just God making you look good in front of your enemies. It's not about God, making you look, like you're looking because you were bullied in school. It's about God blessing you because you're being obedient. It's about Him being the type of loving God full of grace and mercy that He is. It's not about us at all. And the moment that you realize that God's in control, that this is up to Him, and you just do the best that you can do and stay focused on what it is that He wants and not what you want, man, your life will be so much more calm, because you'll realize that you don't have control over anything. You can control your actions, and hopefully you act right. You act like you were raised right, like God raised you the right way. You're not out in these streets acting like you don't have no home training. You're acting like you were raised by God. You're acting like God raised you up out of that place that you were in when you thought that you couldn't go on. You're acting like God saved you, like God is putting His whole armor of protection around you, that you're putting on your whole armor every day and pick up your cross and following Him. And this is where I think that analogy came from. I could be wrong. Correct me if you need to. But, I did not know what that meant. Picking up your cross, I just thought it meant, just being obedient to the Bible and just, following God. And it kind of means that. But so I was reading the Bible one day and I was learning about Jesus's crucifixion. And as he was talking about it, there were 3 crosses. Jesus was in the center with a crown of thorns on his head. And they beat him and beat him and beat him. And we know brutally, like just bludgeoning him and all of these other things. They just really went in on Jesus. And he was beaten so badly he couldn't even pick up his cross to go to the place where he had to go to be crucified. And it gave me this image of when they say you got to pick up your cross daily. Sometimes you feel like that. Sometimes you feel like you can't go on. But even a moment of weakness like that, you have to call on God. Like he cried out saying, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" But I don't think that he meant that for God. I think he meant that for all of the sins that he was dying for us for. I think that he meant that he loved us so much that he was willing to sacrifice his life, even though he was going through so much. And when we're going through things, when I go through things in my life, sometimes I think about how Jesus would have felt. Sometimes I think about, did he do all of that for nothing? No, he didn't. So I need to keep moving. Sometimes I think about how I can't go on, and then I remember that I can call out to God. So no matter what's happening in your life, I hope that you always know that you can call on God.